let's talk about this, and I'll again share a couple of slides this time. Who's in charge? And surprisingly, nobody. Absolutely nobody. Because when we deregulated telecommunications, and worldwide that happened almost 40 years ago now, we didn't replace the telephone companies with a new orchestrator. We did not. We ripped it all apart, and there's no one in charge. Do what you want. Literally, every actor can do what they want. How do we make a cohesive whole called the DNS? How does all this work? Well, interestingly, it works through markets and market signaling. Because if you do stuff that other people value, good on you. If you do stuff that nobody wants and no one values, it's you that has the problem, not everyone else. And so market signaling actually creates the appearance of a cohesive DNS, when beneath it, there are all these separate markets and market players. It's highly devolved, highly decentralized, very, very loosely coupled. ICANN's engagement is actually a very narrow part of engagement at this kind of top level of the namespace. But there's a market for registrars who act as retailers. It's somewhat different because they can not only sell names at the top level space, but they can sell names at lower levels of the namespace, which are in many ways just simply controlled by contract. There's no other constraint. Who can put in a name? Well, anybody. What about certifying the name for trust? Well, that's again a different market. Who runs resolvers like 1.1.1.1 and Cloudflare? And the answer is, well, you can run your own. Anyone can run one of these. There's nothing stopping you. Whether you choose to do so or not is kind of your decision. But when you do that, you've got to actually make sure that it resolves the same way everyone else resolves, or it's useless. It doesn't work anymore. And so when you look at this, there are a whole bunch of different markets inside the DNS that sort of create a cohesive whole. And so when we talk about the DNS, we're actually talking a little bit about, society, where it's even society without an overarching government. The rules and norms that dominate the DNS are actually areas of market signaling with an underlying underpinning of IETF internet standards. But once you stay within the realm of standards, it's very much open slather. You can do what you want. Your success or failure is actually largely determined by a market. There's no guarantee that you have the right to exist and the right to provide a service. Now, for a lot of us, this is novel. We've never done this before, and it is a brave experiment. And to my mind, this is amazing. We have done what no one thought possible. At the heyday of telephony, and I'm thinking back, 1995, the telephone industry proudly boasted that they had 600 million telephone handsets connected to the global telephone network. And I know you're laughing, because I'm laughing too, because right now we seem to have around 4.5 billion people on the internet. And, it's only going to grow. And if we include in that census all these little devices, we get bored counting when we pass 30 billion, and we're keeping on going. And so in some ways, we have built the impossible. This loosely regulated system that relies on markets and market signaling, and the DNS is intrinsically at the center of this, has scaled beyond anyone's wildest imagining, yet it still works. It works amazingly well. And we didn't build it to do this, it just did it. Why? Because it's loosely federated. And when there's a problem, folk are able to fix their part of it. The end result is a cohesive whole. And so in some ways, this is Adam Smith, that well-known economist, macroeconomist a couple of centuries ago. This is the dream. This is this whole invisible hand of coordination across providers and consumers, creating a consistent whole. And it's done so for nigh on 40 years without any heavy hand of regulation inside those various industries.